So, welcome everybody tonight to our monthly book group meeting. And this month we're celebrating High Vis Fortnight, which used to be called Make a Noise in Libraries Fortnight. And that runs from, take that one, I can't remember, it's from the 7th to the 20th of June. So, High Vis Fortnight's all about people with a visual impairment and enjoying different formats of reading. Now, tonight we've got our audio book group from Stockbridge Library. Now, it started off with, have you heard a good book lately? Now, most of the people that are in our group, I made contact with them through visually impaired IT group and connections with the Macular Degeneration Society that meet in the library. And it all started with a woman called Cloudy, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, but maybe she might be able to make it a wee bit later on. So it was her idea. So initially we started to meet in the library, but obviously last year that's not been possible. So we've been meeting online. So that's not without its issues, but we have done very, very well. And yeah, so did I mention my name? It's Carol. Yeah. So I'll just introduce everybody in the room tonight. So we'll have Neil helping us. Wave Neil from Community Education. She's just sitting in and helping with the tech. Gail. Wave Gail. Okay, and Anita. Anita. Jean. Gina. Irene. Margaret. Say hello, Margaret.
Hello.
And Jan.
Hi.
So, oh, there we go. Yeah. So what we've been reading the past couple of years has been very wide-ranging, from everything from Graham Greene's Our Man in Havana to Colson Whitehead's the Underground Railroad. And yeah, and then last month we read Antonita Roy, The God of Small Things. But it's my great pleasure tonight to introduce an author who came probably top of our all-time reading. So it's Elizabeth Gifford, Liz, who wrote The Lost Light of St. Kilda. And I'll tell you, Liz, everybody raved about your book.
Oh, great. I'm so pleased. And thank you for having me. It's really an honour. I'm so pleased to be joining in with the Edinburgh Scottish book group. It's really exciting.
So yeah, so everybody was blown away by not just the theme of the book was about the evacuation of St Kilda and this love story which connected to it, but you know, a lot of to do with the audiobooks. It's about the listening to it's about the voices and the narration, and so you know, people were delighted. So I just wonder if you could even start off by reading a wee bit from the book.
Okay, just a little bit. I'll do the introduction. This is a letter from Fred while he's on St Kilda, just after he got there. Dear Lachlan, I doubt that I can find the words to adequately describe this place to you, but I will try. You warned me I might find it tedious here, the isolation, so far away from civilization, and it is true that this is considered such a harsh posting for the nurse or the missionary that they're generally only assigned for 12 months. But hardship to be here, in the middle of such beauty. A lonely and very wind-swept beauty, yes, but I am already grieving that I shall have to leave at the end of summer and go back to Cambridge. So what is this island of St Kilda, or islands to be more exact, as I know you will want it to be? Pin it down, man, you tell me, when making a diagnosis of the motor. Go to it logically. I will stay away from more misty-eyed descriptions of St Kilda, even though it does encourage just that, and try to concentrate on what I am here to understand, the underlying rock formations, and so return to Cambridge with enough information in the bag for my final paper. St Kilda is in fact a group of 4 islands and various sea stacks, the largest of which, at some 4 square miles, is Herta. If you were to walk up from the tiny village bay on Herta's highest point, what you'd see is an ancient volcanic crater, a bowl of green that lies half dipped in the water, as if some giant is scooping out a drink with a pan, one side lost under the water and the other rising high to make a semicircle of steep hills, leaving the green amphitheatre around the village with its half moon of white sand and its line of low cottages in a curving line a short walk up from the beach. Standing in the village on a fine day in such a sheltered and benign spot, one is tempted to believe in the God of blessings behind such loving creation. But climb up to the top of the encircling hills, and the shock is deadly. The land ends, falls away with a drop of 1,300 feet, where men fall to certain death, where, coming to the edge, you must drop to the earth and cling on with fear at the way the wind comes at you with such force, knocking the breath out of your lungs. A fortress of the highest sea cliffs in Europe.
So I'm going to just start off just by asking you, Liz, what kind of spurred you to write a novel which was based around St Kilda?
Well, we've been to visit the Hebrides on and off over the past 20 years, and I was always fascinated by St Kilda from the beginning, and we finally got to visit there about 4 years ago, and I didn't really think I could do a story of St Kilda. Can I just check, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Because I felt that the non-fiction books had sort of said it all. And I didn't really know what story I'd write that could add anything. And then I wanted to make this connection between a Scottish soldier making his way back from France and Spain in the Second World War. And it occurred to me that this person could have been on St Kilda, and I just had an image of somebody sitting in a dark dungeon, and it was the hope that inspired them, this memory of
Thank
the
you.
St Kilda. So that's how it came about, really. And I was supposed to be doing a different book for the publisher, and I very carefully sent in all the pages and the proposal. And you generally send 2 in at a time, and I hadn't got much for the second one, so I just sent in a couple of pages, pretty much what I just read out, and there wasn't much there, but the publisher said, this is the one we want you to write the book about St Kilda. And the publisher, everyone there was really keen. So yeah, that's how it came about.
very good. Well, maybe just go around because we've obviously had the discussion a couple of months ago about the book, but maybe I think folk might have specific maybe questions to ask you about the book or about your writing. So maybe we'll just take it in turn. If you have got a question, there's no compulsion. But just put your hand up and maybe if you want to ask Liz a question about the book or about her writing. Is that you, Gail? Have you got something?
Yes, I wanted to ask Liz about the fact it was like 2 books in one that then combined, like St Kilda and Chrissy and Fred, and then what Archie did, and then it went into Fred trying to escape from the prison camps with all his, and then across the Pyrenees. So to me, it was 2 separate stories, but they were very well entwined. You could understand at first. You were thinking, oh, all of a sudden we've gone into like the Second World War and Fred trying to escape, and then but it all became really intertwined into one book. So, which I didn't think I would enjoy as much, but I did really enjoy it. So I thought it was fascinating how the St Kilda and the Second World War, how it became intertwined.
Oh, that's good. Yes, I guess it's about somebody reevaluating their story, where he became quite a bitter person, and then over time he thought it through and sort of found more hope. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Gail.
Yes. Thank you for writing the book.
Oh, well.
I'm telling all my friends about it because I know they would absolutely love it as well, because it's along with the a couple of books, it's definitely been my favourite that we've done. One of my favourites.
Thank you so much. That's really great. Well, my husband's Scottish, so
lovely.
And I've got 2 Dundonian grandsons, so we sort of feel, very fond of Scotland. It's a big part of our lives.
When you went over to St Kilda 4 years ago, what were your impressions?
Well, I thought it would be great, but I was so glad because it really is very spectacular. It's very sort of abrupt and tall, and the village is quite atmospheric still, and you can't really imagine it totally without being there. So I felt I could be much more confident about describing it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was really. I was so glad we went. It was lovely, and it was a good day. Pretty nice weather, except we never got to go in the gift shop.
Oh.
I was greatly looking forward to that because suddenly all the boats and the helicopters scrambled to the other side of the island because a man had been wild camping and he'd fallen down the cliff.
Oh.
Yeah, so the helicopter went to rescue him and he was taken to Stornoway Hospital. He was fine, but he was 87 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Good for him. You're not supposed to do wild camping on the island. One designated spot, but he was having a good time.
So you might use that in your next book.
Maybe.
Helicopter rescue.
How do you get to the island? Is it a private boat or is it a regular?
Yes, indeed. I think there's 2 companies on Harris. It takes about an hour and a half to get there, and you can go. I think you can go from Skye, but that's a very long journey, and it is a bit choppy. I mean, it's a famous journey for making everyone feel seasick, but I was fine. But there's a very big guy there, and he was not fine. Yeah. Also, you have to wait and see if the weather's okay. Your trip might get cancelled. One year, my daughter-in-law and the family, we all got ready and we took seasickness tablets, and then the trip was cancelled. So second attempt to get there. Yeah.
So has somebody got another question for Liz about the book itself? Or maybe there's a Margaret. Margaret, would you like to ask?
Have you spent a lot of time in the Outer Hebrides? I've spent quite a lot of time in that area, but I haven't actually been to St Kilda.
Yeah.
We saw the stacks of St Kilda one night from the western point in Harris, and the person whom I was with was the minister there, who had been on St Kilda and I think took part in the last service on St Kilda. And he was all excited about being able to see it. It was June and very clear and the water was calm. But I haven't been able to get there.
Yeah.
But my sister and her husband have been there on one of these cruises from Greenock, I think.
Oh, wow.
It went round and I think they were able to land on time. But you can't guarantee that beforehand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I just ask? I mean, that kind of, we had quite a big discussion when after we read the book about, I suppose, about the place, the customs, about the religion. I mean, you must have done an awful lot of research about the place or people, or you must have, because you got it. Well, I thought, I think, and we thought well, you done it really well, actually.
Okay, thank you. That's great to hear. Well, in reply to Margaret, I'm glad you're another Hebrides fan and have spent so much time there. But as I say, we've been going there for over 20 years, not every year. And when we started going there was quite a lot of elderly people there who would have been alive just after the Second World War, which, sort of Crowdy and Queen generation. Those lovely old books about a boy growing up in Paris. And you could still meet them and they were still there. And you just had this feeling that there was something very special in the Hebrides, especially the Outer Hebrides, that was about to go. And I would say over the past 20 years, it has been a bit different. There's more, sort of upmarket holiday lets, and there's less of the, sort of very elderly natives who would say, come in and have some tea and give you some scones. I mean, not elderly, but just people who've grown up there in Gaelic-speaking households. So I just wanted to kind of hold on to some of that tradition. And we like going to the Gaelic services and listening to the psalm singing. We have friends in the Hebrides. So I just wanted to record something of that. And the thing about St Kilda is the lifestyle there, apart from the dramatic scenery, was pretty typical, really, of a lot of the Hebrides in the last century. And it was kind of the last place, in a way, where it was still being lived, 100% in the old way. Well, as much as possible, even though they didn't have the black houses, they had slightly better houses. So to me, it was kind of an exercise in preserving the history of it a bit. And in fact, one of the really nice things was after I'd done all the research and looked at loads of photos and read all the books I could, I realised that I could probably put a face to all the names of the people in the last cottages. So raise money for the St Kilda Club, who look after the St Kilda Village with the National Trust. My husband helped me do a booklet, and we had the names and the faces for each of the last families who lived on the island before evacuation. And you can buy that from the National Trust through the St Kilda Club. And I think they've actually raised quite a lot of money because all the money went to the island. So that was quite special because the National said, they were going to keep a copy because no one had actually done the whole street before with all the people. Yeah.
In fact, that was you were talking about that, the photos that the people of St Kilda. So that was quite an unusual thing to do in a fictional book. So is that? I mean, what about your own connections with the storyline? Is there any kind of connection there? I mean, I did read a wee bit about that. There was a wee bit about the war element of it. Maybe you want to say a wee bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, well, going back to the photos first, all the characters on St Kilda in my novel were based on the sort of people there, but they were all fiction because I couldn't really have enough information to do, real people, and I don't think they would have wanted to be portrayed in the novel. Yes, but there is also a personal connection for the World War II storyline in that my husband's grandfather was in Madrid during the Second World War, and he was part of a smuggling ring around the British Embassy that sheltered servicemen and Jewish people coming over the Pyrenees from occupied France. And, however, Donald Cassidy, the vicar, minister in the mission in Marseille, he is an actual character. So I sort of stuck to him because I thought it was nice to celebrate him.
My parents knew him. He was in Irvine, where I was brought up at one time.
Oh,
My parents knew him
wow,
as a young minister.
wow. Yeah, I think he was a very charming man, very lovely. And yeah, the thing is, though, people like Donald Caskey and my grandfather, there was a lot of the story they couldn't tell because of the Official Secrets Act, particularly in Spain. So, in a way, because we don't actually know exactly what my grandfather did, what my husband's grandfather did, he was given the OBE for his services during the war in Spain, Madrid, but we never quite know. So this story is partly a way to celebrate the work that those people did, really. And when I found out about my father-in-law, I was amazed how little I knew about the Scottish Highlanders who were left behind at St Valery after Dunkirk, as did a few people.
Yeah, I didn't realise either there were so many Highlanders left behind.
I mean, it was also English people. The Yorkshire Regiment was there too, but it was by and large the Highland, the 51st Highlanders were there. But it was also quite special to me because when my husband's father went over in the Normandy landings as a 19-year-old, he was part of that, and they went all the way to Bremerhaven, where they had the victory parade. And for the victory parade at Bremerhaven, they had it led by the reformed 51st. Because they knew what it was for those men who'd been taken captive. And of course, the actual 51st wouldn't have been at the March Past Victory Parade because a lot of them were still in prison in Germany. But so for years, we've had these photographs of the March Past and men in kilts. And I thought, well, quite nice pictures, but why was my father-in-law so keen to take them? But having written the book, I understood the significance of the March Past, celebrate what the 51st Highlanders had gone through.
Yeah.
I mean, that was quite a explicit description about, Fred's incarceration at the beginning. I think near the beginning of the book. So it doesn't, although it's a love story, it's in no way sentimental. There's a kind of realism there about the background to the book. Can I just ask you, Liz, in terms of do you know of any of the descendants of the original evacuees from St Kilda? Have you had any feedback from any of them at all, or any connection with them in terms of your research?
Yeah, well, I'm in touch with Marion, whose parents were at I think it's house number 5, and they're the McDonald. Oh, I can't remember the number offhand, but the McDonalds left the island early, and Marion is the granddaughter of Mrs. McDonald, who left the island just before the evacuation with that family. So the cottage was empty. And in fact, It's Marion who runs the gift shop for the on the island for the St Kilda Club at the moment. Yeah, so she read it, and there's also some relatives of the lady who died of who died at hospital, and they very carefully corrected my errors for the booklet. So it should be pretty accurate, but yeah. So that was lovely because Marion said she really appreciated the book because it took her back there in a way she'd done, which was kind of the aim of the book, really, to take me to St Kilda, both in time and place, in a way that's hard to do, you know, in reality. So yeah, I was really pleased that Marion liked the book. And
I don't know how MJ, scale speaking, I don't know how MJ could not like the book, because never having been to St Kilda, when I was listening to it, I felt myself transported there.
Oh, that's great! Yeah,
and I could visualise it all in my head, even though it wasn't accurate.
yeah,
And I thought, you know, the relationship between Chrissy and Fred, and of course, like, I hated Archie, and of course, then I thought it was very clever when you brought Archie back into when Fred was going across the Pyrenees, and then Archie was there, and of course, we're thinking, is he the traitor? Is he the mole that's giving them away when they're trying to cross over?
yeah.
And so I thought that was really clever, and how Archie, like, basically saved Fred so he could get back to Chrissy after he did that horrible wrong that he did on the island.
Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I don't know what the people who live at the actual castle in Skye think, because I made up all the characters. I didn't actually put in the real people from Skye. So I meant to sort of contact them, but with lockdown, they may still not know this travesty of their family that I wrote.
Oh, right.
Is your book in the gift shop, Liz?
In Skye, in
and I was, I should say.
I, well, the gift shop has been shut all over COVID. For the first time in a long time, the only people out there have been the army.
Right.
I think they're opening it up now, and I think Marion's taking out some books. So I'm hoping to see a picture of the book in the shop one of these days, which would be very special. But they sell it online, I think, in the St Kilda Club.
Have you got anything to ask Liz about the storyline or that, Irene?
Well, to be honest, I enjoyed the whole group and the contrast of and it introduced me to them escaping over the Pyrenees, things that you didn't know. You didn't think about Spain involved in any thing in the Second World War. You know, I was a child in the Second World War, and just the whole contrast of it. I really loved the whole book.
Well, I think so, Irene.
No, honestly, and I went back on it just before we started this meeting yesterday and the day before, and it's a book you could lift and read again, you know.
Yes.
Well, that's great. I'm so thrilled. Well, it means a lot to me if a Scots audience feel the book is of Scotland, because there's a lot of books are written about places and they don't really have a lot of contact with them. So, in fact, before I started writing about the Hebrides, our good friend Willie Fulton, who's an artist in Drinishadder in Harris, said, "Oh, they all come here and they want to write about the mist and write something that's real."
Do you know what I did like? The happy ending. I like a happy ending, and it was just it was just so lovely that for once we weren't left with an unhappy ending.
Jean's hand's up there. Jean, would you like to ask?
Well, it's an observation more than anything. I'm a southerner, and there's quite a bit of Scotland that I haven't visited yet. May never get there, but I must admit I thoroughly enjoyed your book. Much of the enjoyment of a book for me is the reader. You know, if the reader's voice, sometimes I'll give up in the middle if I'm not enjoying the way it's being read. I must admit, with your book, I thoroughly enjoyed the reader.
Oh, that's so nice.
But
well,
I've wondered, do you have any say in who gets to read your books?
No, but they always pick very good readers. Well, I always had excellent readers, and the person reading it was lovely. He really sort of got into the book and he liked it, and we phoned up Bill Lawson at Harris on the island just to make sure all the Gaelic pronunciation was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think the poor actor was saying, Gaelic rather than Gaelic, so that was a shame. But
Yes.
he certainly worked very hard reading the book, and so I think that these readers put their heart and soul into it. Really, it's I was very happy. Although I have to say, I find it very difficult to listen to the book myself.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel acutely embarrassed. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Strange, yeah.
Well, you don't need to be.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Great.
Can I just say hello to Cloudy? Hi, Cloudy.
Yes, I'm here. I had a struggle.
Sorry, I've missed the. Can you hear us?
I wanted to say, yes, I had one or two issues with the Gaelic pronunciation because once or twice Gaelic was used. I'm from Skye, so although I've not got very much Gaelic myself and I sound perfectly English, but I loved it because of coming from Skye, and I recognised a lot. I've not been to St Kilda, but there were Skye connections, weren't there?
Yes, with Dunvegan Castle.
That's right. And there were two real people in it, weren't there? The Tartan Pimpernel.
Yes.
Dr. Caskey,
Yes.
whom I met when I was a teenager.
Wow.
He came to Skye, and I actually met him.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I wanted to keep him as realistic as possible to sort of.
Well, it was very good. It was absolutely right.
Oh,
And I was able to talk to others who knew him.
wow, that's
The
fantastic.
other person that I have met was Alistair Alpin MacGregor.
Oh, the newspaper.
Not entirely a popular figure in the Outer Isles, I seem to remember.
Well, I thought he was so hilarious.
Yes, he was. He was hilarious in real life.
Yes, yeah. Oh,
It was really interesting to have real people incorporated in it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it was a bit of a black pudding mix, really. Some of it. Well, the thing is, for a lot of the characters, there just wasn't enough information to. And as I was saying, I don't think they would have wanted to be so exposed on the page.
No.
And of course, the wartime characters, were sort of. But it was inspired by my father-in-law. In fact, the funniest thing happened. It was really strange, but I based the student called Fred on an actual student who wrote diaries. Who's called Robert Gordon. So when I was doing the book of the real people on St Kilda, I went to meet his family in Dumfries because they had his diary. And they let us take pictures for the booklet about St Kilda. And then I realised, can't remember how it worked out, but we realised that the person I had based the soldier on from a diary kept by an escaping soldier was also their family. So those characters were based on two real people. And I went to see the Gordons, and it was their two father-in-laws.
That's amazing.
I know, that was really strange.
The other thing I wanted to ask is 2 or 3 years ago, they discovered somebody in an old people's home somewhere in the West who remembered some music from St Kilda.
Yes.
And that was very moving, hearing that.
Yes. Yes, the loss.
I think they sang it, didn't they?
Yes.
And then somebody wrote it down and played it on the piano.
Yes, and it was orchestrated. In fact,
yes.
The composer got in touch and said we should do something together one day.
Oh, that would be good.
Yes, I mean that would be lovely. It's been quite the really sad thing about bringing out the book this year is that the events were cancelled. So we had a Ceilidh with the London Reelers planned at the Scottish Church in London, and there's going to be Glasgow I Write and various things. So it's really nice to do the book group because there has been sort of a lack of contact with real people since the book came out. So it's very special to me that doing this book group with an Edinburgh book group. Yeah.
Perhaps you could have a Ceilidh in Edinburgh.
Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yeah.
I've got lots of fans there. You should have it in the Gaelic Church now is the one Greyfriars, I think, is where the Gaelic congregation meets.
Oh, fantastic! Well, I've got a new book coming out in October, which is also set in Scotland. So I'm thinking maybe I could do a double launch and catch up on the St Kilda side. Yeah. Oh yes, and there's going to be an evening at the Harris Distillery. That was going to be a lot of fun as well. But we did an online Ceilidh, which is gorgeous with musicians. And, yeah.
Can I ask you, Liz, from the publisher's perspective, did the audio book come out at the same time as the print copy, or was there
I think it was slightly after, but pretty close. Yeah.
So what about your new book then? Is that going to be out in audio?
Gosh, it's only just been finished and gone to proofs, but I hope so. All the others did, so fingers crossed it should. Yeah.
What's your new book?
It's called A Woman Made of Snow, and it's set partly in Kelly Castle in Fife.
Oh.
Yeah. And because we knew Hugh Laurie, who used to live there, the sculptor a bit.
Yeah.
So wonderful.
Lovely one. And partly in Dundee, around the whaling trade and the connection with the Inuits and the Scots.
Well, then you should have a Ceilidh in the V&A in Dundee.
Yeah, I'll let them know. That's what I.
Or better still, in Kelly Castle, which is wonderful.
In Kelly Castle, yeah, I used to live near there in Fife. Yeah, Kelly Castle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, my husband's from St Andrews, so we used to go to Kelly a lot. It's just so lovely.
It's interesting when it's all about, you're right, and there's all these different connections. I mean, you're talking about the book in Dundee. I mean, I've got members of my family who worked in the whaling trade in Dundee.
So yeah.
But even when we were discussing the Lost Lights of St Kilda, I mean, there's Margaret there, and Claudia have got connections. You think this is the most remote part of the British Isles.
Yeah.
In the middle of the Atlantic, and then there's still some kind of connection there,
Yeah.
So one of the things, the Inuits, is that the Canadian Inuits?
Yes. Yeah. Around Davis Strait and Hudson Bay. Yeah. Well, they were in touch with all sorts of Inuit around there, the Greenland Inuit, but yeah, it's a very interesting connection.
Going back to St Kilda, one of the things I haven't seen it for a while because I haven't been to Dunvegan lately, but they certainly did have in Dunvegan Castle what they called it St Kilda letterbox, which was something they just tossed into the sea, didn't they?
Yes.
It was a wooden thing with a little flag on it.
Yes, that's right. Sometimes it was like a tin or a bladder, but yes, they did really use those.
The one they've got at Dunvegan is, as far as I remember, and it's years since I saw it, entirely made of wood.
Yes, yeah, with a little sort of like a sort of domino box almost with a sort of pointed end. Yes, yes, I went to see the exhibition there because
good.
yeah, my sister-in-law, she bought the Dowager's house at Dunvegan.
Oh, the cottage on beyond.
Yeah, it was.
I knew the previous owner, who was a member of the MacLeod family.
Oh wow!
Lovely person.
Yes.
And indeed, I know all her. When I say children, I mean they're all pensioners now.
Yeah.
Caroline Stewart. She was an
Right.
amazing person, and
Oh,
she might have been the chief. She didn't want to be, but she had quite
right.
a good claim.
Yes. So it was.
It's a lovely house. I'm glad your sister-in-law has it.
Well, she bought it. I don't know who'd been in it since then, but it was really pretty much a complete ruin. So she bought it to sort of save it. But of course, it's a sort of house that really is a lot of upkeep. So she doesn't know if she can keep going really.
Well, I'm really pleased it's fallen into good hands.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just conscious of the time moving on. Is it Jean or Jan? Is there anything you want, Anita? Is there anything you want to ask or mention?
Hi.
Is this Jan?
I live up in the Highlands, in Dingwall, so slightly closer, ever so slightly closer. I've never been to St Kilda, but I had to read your book I had read it before I had listened to it, because my daughter works up at Moniac Moor, the writers.
Oh
retreat.
yes.
Aye, so I had to. It was on the list for that, wasn't it? So I
Yes,
had to
that's
read it,
right.
and I just loved it and started shouting about it then,
Thank you.
which was nice.
Oh, I was thrilled to be in contact with Moniac Moor because I just wanted to go there. They're so nice.
Yeah. Well, they've just reopened now, so they're very happy, but they're actually fully booked because there's so many people have been on waiting lists and things, and just desperate to get there. So that's quite nice. Yeah. But also, I knew about St Valerie because I've got a very good friend called Valerie after St Valerie, and her parents had an amazing romantic story from that period. There was a play written about them as well, and her mum's family were French, and they worked for the resistance, and her dad met her mum, fell in love, and then escaped, and then went back over and married her mum and brought her back to Inverness. So that was a lovely story. And then also, just talking about, when you were talking about the National Trust there, I've done a project with an archaeologist on St Kilda. I've never been to St Kilda, but I know the layout, and I know we've worked on the houses, and also the plotting of the cleats. You know how there's loads of them.
Yes.
So, and the archaeologist was Jill Harden. I don't know if that means anything to you. No. She's been to St Kilda a lot and done a lot of work there. But so.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Lovely to meet you. And
thank you so much. Well, it's so nice to hear those stories. Thank you so much.
I thought it was amazing that the Church of Scotland sent a minister there for so few people. And it's a great tribute to the Church of Scotland, I think. And interesting that he was Free Church. Was he Free Church or Church of Scotland? I wasn't quite sure.
I think by then it would have been the Free Church.
Right.
The islanders decided.
But of course he would be. Yes.
Yeah.
But the minister I mentioned to you, he was Church of Scotland. He's died now. I mean, this must be about 40 years since time I was staying with them. But he had been on St Kilda, and I know another minister who was later in Benbecula, when he was on Benbecula, he took part in a service, a wedding on St Kilda.
Wow, goodness. That sounds lovely. I'd love to know more about that. Yeah.
So can I just maybe one last quick comment, Cloudy, because that's nearly the hour up. Just if we're doing a recording, that's So yeah, go for it, Cloudy, because you missed asking.
Wasn't there one minister who was so distressed about all the babies dying that he did a course in midwifery and discovered the reason they were dying was this horrible stuff that the midwife was putting when she cut the cord. And it was after that they sent a nurse, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the baby survived.
Yeah. That's right. That Reverend Hughes, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Went off to Glasgow to learn midwifery.
A quite incredible individual, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the I think the end of our coming to the end of our discussion now, our chat. So I just want to say on behalf of everybody in the group, thank you very much for coming along tonight. It was been a real thrill, and because we learned so much.
Thank you, Liz. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That was
That's really lovely.
Thank you.
Best wishes and keep in touch. And it was really lovely.